since we already began the pre-production stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out to you very important information regarding the different positions, the different jobs that make up this process. Uh, Today's class is going to be titled The Crew, the Writers. We're going to be looking at the essential crew. I have mentioned what the crew is. Who can tell me what's the crew? When I talk about crew in filmmaking, who's the crew? Perfect answer, madam. That's a perfect answer if I ever heard anyone. Thank you. Um, when you look at all the people that are filmmakers, and who is a filmmaker, anyone who is involved in a film project is a filmmaker. A filmmaker is not only a person who has a camera in their hand. A filmmaker is anyone who is involved in the process of creating a movie. So we have two types of filmmakers. We have those that work in front of a camera, and we have those that work behind the camera. The people that we see when we are watching a movie belong to the cast. Those are the people working in front of the camera. And who is the cast? The actors and the extras. Now, there's an army of people. Most of the people that are the filmmakers creating that film project are working behind the camera. And those people we're going to call the crew. You know that when you look at the film credits at the end of a movie, you see a list of names that goes on and on and on, and it looks like it's never going to end. You know what I'm talking about? That famous credit roll at the end. And all those people were hired because they were necessary. You needed them to make this movie. All of them are the filmmakers. We talk about the crew specifically, the people behind the camera. Everybody is necessary, but not everybody is essential. The word essential means that you just cannot have a movie without these people. They are the most important people working behind the camera. And I'm saying this, and I don't want to undermine or minimize the work that is done by other people. Okay? It is everything you do is important. But the reality is that some people are more important than others. And this lesson is going to deal with these people that are what we call the essential uh, crew. And I'm going to be mentioning four. We're going to be talking about the most important people in the crew. We're going to begin with the writer. I mean, the writer. You already know how important a writer is. You have been working on a writing project. Writing, if you're doing it by yourself, is harder than if you're doing it in a group like you guys did. Because when you have a group of people, at least you can bounce ideas off each other. So it's hard to run out of ideas when you're working in a group, when you're collaborating. But when you're working by yourself, that's a different story. And when the ideas don't come, they don't come. And they come when they come. I know it because I've been there, guys. I've been there many, many, many times. And it's not an easy thing, but when it comes, what a beauty. Collaborating requires a lot of responsibility and a lot of coordination. So I hope you're up to it because you gotta. You gotta. Okay, so let's talk about the crew. And we're going to begin with the writers. You have already tasted a little bit of what it's like to be a writer or a screenplay writer or a playwright or whatever you want to call yourself. You know, when you say you're a screenwriter, your friends might think that that's what you are. Your mom might think that's what you are. Society might think that's what you are. Your producer might see you this way. You might see yourself this way, like you're some type of Einstein. But in reality, most of the time, that's what you are because the ideas are not flowing, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Yeah. So Uh, a screenwriter's role in the overall filmmaking process is absolutely vital. It's the difference between having a movie or no having no movie. You cannot have a movie without someone writing it. The script is the foundation upon which the movie is going to be built. And every other filmmaker will be working on top of that foundation. The director, the producer, the actors, everyone will be working on that foundation. That's why the work of the writer is so vital, so central. You know, they say that a film is made three times. Number one, when it is written. Number two, when it is shot or filmed. And number three, when it's edited. That's why the single most important people in the filmmaking process are the writer, the director, and the editor. And it all begins with the writer. So, in the film industry, screenplay writers are not employees of the studio typically. They are freelancers. They are contracted by the studio. They're a contracted freelancer. You know what a freelancer is? Uh, has your mommy ever contracted a plumber to fix something in your house? Or maybe your dad hired an electrician to do some wiring working around the house. They're freelancers. They work on a hired by basis. They are hired by someone. So in the industry, filmmakers do not belong to a studio. They are freelancers that can work for different studios, depending on who gives them work, who hires them. And many people begin this career, but not everybody finishes because this requires a lot of persistence. It's not easy to enter this business, but people actually make a living out of writing. Did you know that people can make a living out of writing movies? You guys, I don't know what you want to be when you grow up. You're probably thinking of being a doctor or a blood sucking lawyer or I don't know, a mechanic or an accountant, a boring accountant, one of those things. People can actually make a living out of writing. I know that you cannot see that right now. You probably think that when you grow up, you're going to be Batman or I don't know, Wonder Woman or someone like that, guys. But the reality is that people can make a living out of this. I mean, I've had students that I've been a teacher for many years that they say they were going to be this, that, and the other, and today they have jobs they never dreamed they would be doing. I can think of one of them, Stephanie Gomez, for example. She's a student that I had many years ago. I was her teacher, and today she is the editor for the digital version of El Vocero newspaper. She's an editor of a newspaper. What does that mean? That she makes a living out of writing and reading other people's writing, telling them what to fix, how to fix it, and approving or disapproving writing articles. That's her job. Ain't that something? And that's how she makes a living. And you can make a living out of writing. I don't know how many of you enjoy writing. A lot of people don't. Some people do. And you can have a career as a writer. That's what you enjoy. If you want to make it into the industry, usually the way you begin is by sending spec scripts. That's something we spoke about in one of the lessons a few weeks ago. We said that a spec script is a speculative script. It's a script that is written by someone. It's sent to a studio. The studio never asks for it, hoping that it will catch the attention of some studio executive and that they might be called and hired. But that requires talent, that requires patience, and that requires persistence. Okay? So, of many thousands of would be screenwriters, very few actually make it, right? But The name of the game is what I told you: being talented, being patient, and being persistent. Uh, I've noted that young people usually have the tendency to give up very quickly. And I have a story about persistence that I want to share with you. How many of you like fried chicken? What's your favorite fried chicken? How, how many of you like KFC? Okay, I said how many of you do. Now, how many of you do not? Uh, okay, so you know what? When you go to KFC, which is probably the most famous fried chicken in the world, even if you like it or not, the fact it's the most famous one. Yeah, well, that's my favorite one. That one in channels. But the reality is that the most famous, I'm not saying the best one, the most famous is KFC. That's a fact. When you go to KFC, you notice that they have a famous icon next to the letters KFC. What's the drawing that you see there? What's the icon? Colonel Harlan Sanders. And who was he? He created the recipe. He's the guy that created the recipe for KFC. This guy, he had a gas station, and the gas station, there was this joint where they made food, like a restaurant, like many gas stations around here, where you can buy food. And he sold his fried chicken, and people will compliment how good it was, and they asked him why did he open more restaurants, and he said, if I open more restaurants, I barely have enough time to work on one. How am I going to work on many? But then he had an idea. He thought, what if I sell the recipe? And that way I can franchise it. And there could be many restaurants selling my chicken, but I don't have to be directly involved in it. So he had this idea, and he started like going to different business people, selling his idea, and he was going to sell them the recipe. That was the main thing he was going to sell them. So he went to the first one, and they said, no, not interested. He went to another one, not interested. Another one, not interested. How many no's do you think he heard before he heard his first yes? I don't know you and me, but probably you and me would have folded after the first no. After the first no, we would probably go crying, saying, oh, I'm no good. I'm going to give up. This is impossible. Well, he heard his first yes after 2,999 no's. But his persistence paid off. That's the power of persistence. Some people have it, some people don't. Because he had it, you and I know what Kentucky Fried Chicken is. So that's a little story on persistence. You guys need to be persistent and not give up so easily. So if you want to make it into the film industry, you have to be persistent. And if you want to make it in any other career, maybe it's not this, maybe it's something else, you need to be persistent. You need to continue trying and trying and trying and trying and trying and falling and standing up and falling and standing up and dusting yourself and keep on going and going until you reach your goals. Okay, so script writers usually work during development and pre-production because after pre-production they start shooting the movie, and usually you don't need the writer anymore because you got the script, now you're shooting it. Are there other jobs you can get as a writer at other different stages of the movie making process? Yes, there's a job that is called script doctor. There's something called script doctoring. What does a doctor do? fix you. So what does a script doctor do? They fix the script. Let's say that, and fixing it doesn't necessarily mean making it better. It might imply that, maybe. But the thing is that art is so subjective that people have different opinions of what is better and what is not. So remember that the owner of the movie is the studio because they're paying for it. So when the movie's being shot, the studio might say, you know what, we need to clarify this, or we need to fix the dialogue. The dialogue is not funny enough or witty enough or whatever. And the studio wants for there to be changes. Who do they hire? A script doctor. Who's a script doctor? A writer of screenplays. It could be the very same person that wrote the original script. It can be somebody completely different. It can be somebody else. Maybe the studio wants someone to come and look at the script with fresh eyes and come with fresh ideas and doctor the script. Is that clear, guys? Okay, well, that's something else. Yes. Who? Remember that writers are freelancers. The same way a mechanic is a freelancer, the same way a plumber is a freelancer, the same way that an electrician is a freelancer. I mean, you're not married to a studio. There was a time when it was that way, back in the golden age of cinema, in the 1930s, when studios had a lot of control. That's how it used to be. But in modern cinema, that's not how it is. That gives you the freedom to work with any studio. You might not have job security, but you have more flexibility. Is that clear? Okay, all right. Very good. So when a screenplay writer finishes a project, a screenplay writer might be sitting on a stack of screenplays. And or maybe they're writers that they write every day because they enjoy it. They don't stop writing. And maybe they already established themselves like, hey, I already have a script that is being produced. Let me keep on sending scripts around to see if we keep on getting hired. And they start, since they met people in the industry already, and they start making contacts with people they didn't know. Now they start sending their scripts to producers or directors or literary agents or entertainment lawyers or entertainment executives, and doors start opening. But once you have your first produced script, doors begin to open, and it opens up the potential to get more work, which is what you want, right? Which is something that's your goal. Um, and if you become credible and recognized, you're gonna get paid more, and you might receive awards and things like that. So persistence is the key word here. Persistence. Um, Another job that is very important also is that of the script supervisor. So you can be the original author of the screenplay, you can be a script doctor, or you can be a script supervisor. And the script supervisor is a person that works during principal photography. Principal photography is when they're shooting the movie. Usually, you don't see writers around the production. That usually, typically, I'm not saying never, but I'm saying that usually the job of the writer is done before the cameras begin to roll. But it is not uncommon for there to be some rearrangements during the shooting, and that's where the script doctor comes in. And during the shooting of the movie, you definitely need a script supervisor. Who is the script supervisor? They ensure that despite the fact that films are shot entirely out of sequence, they eventually make continuity sense or continuous sense. Have you heard the word continuity before? Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Make believe How many of you see me right now? Okay, make believe that you're watching a movie and I'm an actor, I'm a character. Make believe that I'm holding a cup. And make believe that cup is almost empty. And I'm drinking and I'm talking. And now you see somebody else, just make believe all this stuff, okay? Make believe that when they show me again, I'm holding a cup, but this cup is full. What happened? If you saw something like that in a movie, what would it be distracting? Yeah, in the in the worst possible way. It will be very distracting in the worst possible way. It will not make continuity sense. Some people will even call it a blooper. That's not supposed to happen. That's why you need a script supervisor. A script supervisor is also known as the continuity person. That person is going to be holding a copy of the script and cameras. Because what probably happened was this: the actor was performing with a cup half full or almost empty. Maybe the director said, "Cut, let's go have lunch." And they went and have lunch, but they didn't come back to continue shooting that scene until the following day. And the person that was filling that prop with whatever was inside, juice or whatever, forgot that it was half empty. That's why you need a script supervisor. The script supervisor is the person, that's the continuity person. That's the person that is like, they're a Hawkeye. They have incredible visual memory. They have a camera. They take pictures of a lot of things to make sure that when they come back to shoot again, everything picks up where they left the way it's supposed to be picked up. Do you understand the work? They're making sure that everything is also marching according to the script, even if the script is being shot out of order. And let me tell you something: the scripts are usually shot out of order, and that's not out of design; it's out of necessity. And I explained to you the reason why most movies are shot out of order. So you definitely need a person like this. Any question, guys? Is it making sense to you? Okay, good. So, uh, and all these people are writers. All these people are writers. So, and people actually make a living out of this. So that's in the industry. In your planet where you live, in your reality, these are the things that you need to remember about this. Number one, you should never proceed to shoot anything unless your script is ready, unless you have a screenplay, because the screenplay is the foundation of everything. Number two, the screenplay clarifies everything to everyone. If you have a question, check the script. Why? What are you shooting? The script. You're shooting the script. You're shooting the script. So you have questions, go to the script. And that should clarify things for everyone. The entire cast and crew should have a copy of the script. Why? Well, everybody needs to know what they're doing and what their goal is. What are you aiming for? To shoot that script. So it's reasonable for everyone in the production to have a copy of it. And finally, in the industry, 3 weeks is a reasonable amount of time to write a script for a short film if you're working alone. If you're working alone, 3 weeks. If you were in a team, then you need less time than that. But that is what is reasonable. Okay. Someone said something. Any comments? Any questions? Okay. All right. So guys, yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Well, I cannot answer that question, sir, the way you framed it. I can tell you this because even film festivals have different definitions of how long it is. Um, you can ask anyone, and they will tell you something different. I can tell you that a short film is not a feature film. What's a feature film? A feature film is anything that is longer than 80 minutes. It's the type of movie that you see in a theater. What would I call a short film? Anything shorter than that. There are different films, and I'm sorry I'm being so sketchy, but that's I'm giving you the best answer possible, sir. Um, some if you go to certain film festivals, they have different requirements. Some of them will not allow a movie that is longer than 20 minutes. However, you can go to another film festival and they will allow movies that are 45 minutes long, or more than twice as long. So you see what I'm saying? So, the way I see it, you're either a short film or a feature film. And feature films are usually anything that is longer than 80. So I'm going to say that anything at the other side is a short film. That's my answer, sir.